10 players I wish were still at Arsenal should we go on to win the league. Obviously, it's not a guarantee. In fact, it's looking slimmer and slimmer as Man City creep up the table. And as we go a wee bit of a wobble, hopefully we're out of that now after the result against Spurs. Hopefully that is a turning point. But should we go on to win the league, there are players that I look and think, God, they were Arsenal through and through. How good would it have been if they were there to help lift the trophy in May? Should we do it? So now I'm going to list 10 players who, it's a little bit bittersweet that aren't part of the club anymore. Let me know if I forget out anybody obvious. Let me know if you agree or disagree for whatever reason. But let's just jump straight into it. It's a video, isn't it? Thought it'd be a decent idea. But starting off, it's on a technicality. Number 10, I've got Reiss Nelson. Now I know technically he still is an Arsenal player. He's on loan at the moment at Brentford, but there's part of me that wishes he was just in and amongst the squad. Should we go on to do it? Like I think that first season we went for the league 3 years ago, like everyone knows the goal. Arsenal fan or not, you know the goal. We were 2-0 down to Bournemouth. We bring it back to 2 each in the second half. And in injury time from a corner, funnily enough, it comes out to Reiss Nelson and he just hits it first day. What a finish. And the celebrations between the players, the fans, Arteta. For me, that was the day me and a lot of Arsenal fans thought we won the league. And I'm sure Reiss Nelson thought of himself. He probably thought we have this here. Obviously, it wasn't to be. Obviously, his Arsenal career he hasn't got the playing time maybe that he's wanted, but he's a very good player, very good attitude. And yeah, it'd be nice to have him in amongst the squad. Given like the kind of efforts he's made in the past couple of years to try and get us over the line. But as I say, he's at Brentford. God knows whether he'll stay at Arsenal long term or whether he will get that move. But Reiss Nelson's definitely up there. 9, I'm gonna go Aaron Ramsey. Now I know he left long before, well, not long before, but before Arteta came in, it was Emery that sold him, obviously to Juventus, and we know everything that happened after that. Kind of winding down his career now, but Aaron Ramsey, oh, I loved him growing up. See those 2010s. You think the numerous FA Cup final goals he got. Oh, he was just Arsenal through and through, and you could tell that. You could tell he loved the badge. He played for the badge. And obviously we came so close. Well, I say so close. We finished second to Leicester. We came so close, but kind of threw it away. Is probably the best way of putting it. Spurs ended up being closer, even though we ultimately pipped them on the last day. Obviously played with Arteta. But yeah, just an all-round great footballer, great attitude. What a player! I loved him. I can't stress enough how much I loved Aaron Ramsey. Having him even as part of the squad would have been nice, I suppose. Nice. This is more just like a kind of like a dream one as opposed to being realistic. 8, I've got Aubameyang, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. Now I know it ended sourly. I know he kind of forced his way out, but you can't escape. When we were in the dumps and we were shit, that man carried us by himself on his own. He was winning golden boots while we were finishing 8th. He had no right to be getting the goals that he was. You think that season Liverpool won the league, he was joint top goal scorer with Mane and Salah. That's the level he was on. Obviously, he signed a new contract, fell off a cliff. His attitude started to go off the boil. Arteta froze him from the squad, and ultimately Aubameyang forced his way out. But yeah, I'll always be grateful for how he carried us in that dodgy period. And in fairness to him, even I know he went to Chelsea and that afterwards, but you can tell him he's still got a lot of love for Arsenal. So it would have been nice. That's again just another kind of like dream one. You might laugh, but next I've got Zinchenko. Listen, that first season he came in, he was fucking excellent. I think he just got a bit found out. Um, big time, he was not a great defender. I think the likes of Salah and stuff that I'm talking about used to run rings around them. But I'll never forget that first season we went for the league. He walked in the changing room, him and Gabriel Jesus, obviously from Man City, came in, started the season, says, right boys, we're going for the league. And he said that everyone laughed at him. And then we were top of the league that Christmas, and he said, no one's laughing at now. We're taking it seriously. Um, I think Arsenal will that is Zinchenko for obviously changing the mentality for the ambition that Arsenal had as a club and as the players did professionally. So as I say, yeah, I know he's kind of Probably remember it's a bit of a flop that didn't really work out, but for that change in mindset alone, it would have been nice to have him there to kind of see us come full circle should we get over the line. Next, I've got Alexandre Lacazette, another player. Like he didn't set the world alight, but he was still a very good professional, great player. I think when Aubameyang did leave under the circumstances that he did, Lacazette took the armband for the rest of the season, and he kind of picked up the slack that Aubameyang left. Obviously, we'd end up battling top four on the fucking last couple of games to fucking Spurs of all teams. Um, but yeah, Lacazette, like even then, he went back to Lyon, and he started banging them in again. And I can tell he's another one who still has a lot of love for Arsenal. Like that partnership that him and Aubameyang had was like that brotherhood was a thing to behold at the time. But yeah, Lacazette, another one that was just Arsenal through and through. And it would have been nice to have him in the celebrations. Again, I'll stress if there are celebrations. Five, I've got Jorginho. Listen, I know he's an ex-Chelsea man. We've got a lot of those that we're still holding on to. But I don't know. I really like Jorginho. He always came in and he was just a solid professional, and he just done a job. Plus, am I right in saying I think he's like with Chelsea? I think he's pretty much won every other trophy there is to win. You think the Champions League, Europa League, and all the cups. I think the only one that was eluding him was the league. So it would have been nice to to get that kind of personal accolade for him, and I feel like it would hold um, Arsenal in a high regard in his career because of that. Now again, you hear a lot of kind of like the younger players coming through that were talking about him at the time, the likes of Saka and Smith Rowe. They always had plenty to say about him. He was just a great character to have around the dressing room. I think you do need that seniority as well. It's all well and good having talented players, but you need somebody that's been about the block and done it. And I know Jorginho, he was just a bit of a likable guy. I quite liked him. I know there's a lot of Arsenal fans that kind of hate the whole fucking Chelsea retirement home chat, but Jorginho was one I thought that was actually quite an astute signing, especially at the time. Fourth, I've got Aaron Ramsdale. This is a tough one, because obviously Raya has kind of blown him out of the water. I remember there was a debate about who should be the starting keeper a couple of years ago. Ultimately, Raya won that, and looking back now, it's not even close. But Aaron Ramsdale, he is a man that bled for the badge, and I just loved that he was a wind-up. I love the kind of tit for tat he had with the opposing fans and stuff, and even with the other players as well, like laughing in their face. Remember playing United, Bruno Fernandes hit the post. Ramsdale had nothing to do with it. He didn't save it. Fernandes just missed. Ramsdale gets up and laughs in Bruno's face. Oh, it was just hilarious. I love the man. But then he had that damning interview where he basically just said, "Here, listen, I struggle to concentrate at times during games." And yeah, I think that was like probably the stupidest thing you could say as a professional footballer, knowing that it's probably going to get back to your manager. I struggle to concentrate when you're the goalkeeper. Yeah, and ultimately it didn't work out. And he was sold. But yeah, I loved Aaron Ramsdale. I can't lie. I can't lie. Don't get me wrong. I love Ryan now, and ultimately I'm happy with the decision that Arteta made. Like there was a lot of eyebrows raised when he signed Raya, but looking back now, it was the right decision. But yeah, that doesn't take away Aaron Ramsdale, the affection, the love that I had for him in his time at Arsenal. Um, I think he's, I think he deserves better in terms of his ability and stuff like that than how he's been treated just in general. But listen, that's why I'm making this video because I feel bad for the guy. Third, I've got Granit Xhaka. Now, if you had told me probably 5 years ago Granit Xhaka would be part of this conversation, I would have laughed in your face. Like I still remember him telling the fans to fuck off, whipping off his top and just kind of saying, "Yeah, give it to me." You're thinking nailing the coffin for him. Emery gets the sack. Arteta comes in and just revitalizes the man's career to the point where that first season we went league, he was arguably our best player in that midfield. He was sensational. He was so good. Then obviously the last game of the season we're singing "We Want You to Stay." It was just a mad full circle Cinderella story that you just couldn't write. You couldn't write it as a movie. And yeah, to complete that whole saga with him lifting a Premier League trophy would have just been the stuff of a legend. Like that would have been an excellent Premier League years episode. um, but yeah, I can't dispute his career either. He went on and he went invincible with Leverkusen, and now he's back with Sunderland. And what a professional he is. What a job he's doing alongside Sunderland, captain in the side. But yeah, I love Granit Xhaka. I can't lie. He's went from a zero to almost kind of like a cult hero. And I have a lot of respect for him for that because it takes a strong mentality. A lot of players probably would have threw in the towel, cut their losses, and left. But no, he stuck at it. Says no, I'm going to turn this around. And ultimately, in the eyes of Arsenal fans, he did. He did. And it would have been nice, as I say, to see him kind of complete that whole saga, but lifting a trophy at the end of it. Number two, you've got Kieran Tierney. Like Xhaka, he was there when Arteta walked through the door. It would have been it would have been nice to have somebody there from the start. Kind of see it right through to the end of the project, where hopefully we are lifting a trophy. And yet Tierney, the ultimate professional man, he never complained whether he was playing or not. I think a big thing for him was just injuries. You forget there was shouts for him at one stage to become captain on the side. But he was just an old school fullback. I think the system that Arteta brought in just kind of outgrew him, and he wasn't adaptable for it. But even in the last couple of years, where he had featured very strongly and he played very well, and it almost brought a tear to me. Seeing him play. But yeah, he's back at Celtic now. I was over at the Celtic game last month, and it's great to see him because he's still an exceptional footballer. But I'd love to see him be a part of a title winning squad with Arsenal, I can't lie. And number one, I've got Emil Smith-Rowe, the Croydon De Bruyne. Fuck me, a Hale End boy. You think of when we started like challenging for leagues, the whole thing was like the Saka and the Emil Smith-Rowe song. I remember like those two scoring against Spurs and that song just flirting the rafters. Like you could tell Emil Smith-Rowe, it was his dream to play for Arsenal. Um, he loved the club, obviously being there from a child right through. I think similar to Kieran Tierney, it was just injuries that hampered him. Like in many ways, he saved Arteta's job when he came. Like Arteta was on that terrible run. He brings Smith Rowe in against Chelsea, kind of forced to, given the circumstances that he had at the time. And he didn't really look back for a couple of years. Smith Rowe was just running the show. Um, but yeah, as I say, injuries got the better of him, and I think football moves on very fast. The signings that came in, the players that came in, the team kind of outgrew Emil Smith Rowe, and it's a real shame because especially as I say, that first season we went for the league, you think again, I think he was injured for a good part of that as well. But I remember he's another one that was out in the trenches when we were shit. He was part of the reason that dragged us out of that. And yeah, as I say, just likewise with Saka, it would have been great to just see another homegrown talent that came out through the youth system celebrating the Premier League at the end of it. So that's my 10. I've probably forgotten somebody obvious. I've probably listed somebody that you completely disagree with. But listen, it's my video, so go fuck yourself. It's not written in the stars that we'll win the league anyway, but here's fingers crossed, alright? But yeah, hope you enjoyed, folks. Pleasure speaking to these as always. TikTok's down that way. Instagram's just above it. Down that way also. Yeah, and I'll see you tomorrow. Take care. Pleasure speaking to these. Bye.